Right on, you can come on in. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for joining us today. We're really excited to talk
Yeah.
to you for February. I think that, we're kind of mutual friends and
Yeah.
enjoy your work, and I think that you're really just an incredible person to be around. So
Thank
I appreciate you
you.
taking the time today and spending it talking with us.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I love the studio, honestly.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So if you want to take just a second, you want to kind of talk to the audience, tell them what you do, who you are, and then we can, get into, what the future holds and art and all that.
Yeah, of course. Well, my name is Alma. I am an actor and an artist here based in Chicago. I moved here from Minneapolis and went to college at Roosevelt University, and now I work here as an actor.
Amazing, amazing. So I'll ask you, the same question I asked every single one of our muse leading up to this. If you could use 3 words to describe yourself, what 3 words are you picking?
Today, I'll say sensitive, cultured, and joy-seeking.
Love it. And do you find that in your work or your creative, pursuit, do those words change as a descriptor of you, or do you think that they remain largely the same?
They remain largely the same, I'd say.
And do you lean on those things in your work a lot, you find? Like especially, as an actor in the theater side of things predominantly? Do you find that like joy-seeking and all that kind of stuff, especially in the cultured side, I feel like that's got to play a huge role into it, right?
100%. I mean, I am not interested in work that doesn't feel good and doesn't make other people feel good. And I think I'm embracing my sensitivity more and more, like as I get older, and seeing it as like a superpower.
Yeah, absolutely.
Helps you tap into just more nuances, and you're just able to express more and be more open, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think that brings us to kind of like the process side of things, which is something I definitely want to get into, but also just, even for my sake and everybody's watching, I want to talk about how you kind of found your way to where you are now. How did you start acting? Was it a lifelong thing for you, or I'm curious about that for sure.
I started acting in high school. Okay. I was a choir kid, so I did choir all 4 years, and I was in all of the musicals every year and all of the plays. It made me happy. It was fun. It was something that I used to connect with people, to sort of escape as well. And my senior year of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to major in college, but I thought about just following what I enjoyed the most, and at the time it was theater. So I thought, why not just go for that and not have the regret, like just do it instead of wondering what if, like a couple years down the line. And it's been working out so far, so I'm happy about that.
Absolutely. Are there any formative shows early on that you felt like really, amplified your love for theater, or really kind of helped help you make that decision as saying like, this is something I really enjoy and something you wanted to do?
I wouldn't even say so. It really was like I just took a chance. Everything that I really understand about theater now has been learned through college and like post-college life, post-grad life.
Yeah,
so,
gotcha.
Yeah.
So really just in love with the art form.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
definitely.
honestly.
So I'm interested too, you said you're from Minneapolis, right?
Yeah.
You end up in Chicago, going to college here. What was the draw? Was it always Chicago, or was it really purely it was the program and the acting side of stuff that brought you here?
It was the program. I think my senior year of high school, I did a trip with my choir, and we came to Chicago. We did this sort of what's it called? Like singing workshop with a professor at Roosevelt University. That was my first time that I was on that campus, and afterwards the faculty wanted to choose a couple students to tour the conservatory, and I was one of those students that was chosen, and I fell in love with the campus. I thought it was really gorgeous. It had like really beautiful facilities, and I liked the location. The views were awesome, and yeah.
Nice.
So I committed.
Nice. Well, you said you learned a lot in college, right? And you downloaded a lot of kind of your, not necessarily worldview, but like art view through that, right? Were there shows in college and stuff that you were a part of at Roosevelt that really catered to that, or was it more so just kind of the program's impression on you?
There was this one show that I did in college. It was my senior year. It's on the cover. It's on the cover of that book, but it was called Spunk by Zora Neale Hurston.
Okay.
It was a play, 3 stories in it, and I got to play multiple characters. So I thought it was really enjoyable. I got to explore more about what I could do, and just show, I think, my peers and the faculty there that I sort of had more range than maybe they would have imagined at first. But besides that, I'd say also the stuff I saw in the city really inspired me. Yeah.
That's great. I think that's something that I'm glad that you brought that up. One thing that, this series is kind of, the foundation is to highlight Chicago artists, right? And I always like to ask folks, like, how does the city play a part in your art? And, we get a million different answers from furniture designers to film directors to theater actors, right? I'm interested to hear a little bit more about, living in Chicago, how much and in what ways do you find that really does push you as an artist, whether it be, taking roles or even forming the way that you go about your day-to-day life that is, an aspect of your art?
Yeah. It's a good question. Well, in a city like Chicago, people actually work here as actors. like people actually have careers here as performers and as artists. And I think the more that I was able to go around the city and see things at Court Theater or Goodman, Steppenwolf, Definition Theater, I just felt inspired by the work that people were doing and by the stories people were telling, how people were connecting with each other in these theater spaces, and just the quality and caliber of work that was happening in the city. So I think that's really inspiring.
Yeah, I'm always very jealous of the Chicago theater community because it really does feel like a community, especially coming from the film side of things. I think a lot of times we can be on our own little, islands across the city, but I'm always a little bit jealous of your side of things. So that's definitely something I want to talk about too. So you're somebody who is pretty much entirely in theater, right?
Yeah.
Theater as an art form is something that has gotten a lot of talk recently, just over as things kind of grow in the art industry, or in the art world. What excites you about theater now? What excites you about modern theater that maybe a lot of people might not think about when they consider it? I think for me as a filmmaker, I always love theater because it feels so pure in a weird way, right?
Yeah.
Like it is the performances are happening in front of you, and there is kind of all of that clicking at one time. You're not watching something that happened years or decades ago, and I find that to be incredibly interesting from a viewer perspective. But definitely seeing the more involved artistic side is something that's really interesting, at least for me.
Let me see. Well, just that young people are interested in theater. I mean, in Chicago, I think, I haven't experienced theater across the country much, or theater in New York, but here, the young people are hungry to share their messages, to share their thoughts, to reflect back what's happening in the society at large. And I think that's what's really beautiful about Chicago theater is it's sort of ensemble-based and ensemble-focused. What's happening in theater now that happens time and time again is you take classic work and you sort of reinvent it so that it speaks to what's happening in the zeitgeist, what's happening in the moment, and you use it to put a mirror up to just the world and the way people are existing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think one of the most profoundly shocking pieces of art I've over the last few years is a Henrik Ibsen play.
Oh, okay.
Enemy of the People.
Okay, yeah.
Very famous, very popular, but the unfortunate parallels to that and right now are certainly something to think about.
It's spooky. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little too spooky in my mind, but that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely, one thing I also want to get into is kind of your process as an actor, right? We can talk about theater and whatever forever, but I'm interested in the reason that you're here about your personal process with it. So one thing I always ask, film actors and definitely with theater actors is when it comes to picking projects and whether it be, picking the actual project or picking the people you work with, what is your first kind of step? Do you have something to touch to in terms of, oh, well, it has to check this box? Or is it kind of a project by project thing? And in that case, what does tend to sway you in that sense?
It's project by project. I'm just starting off, I feel like. I think this moment right now is the most momentum I've had in my theater career since the beginning. So anything that comes my way, I'm like looking at it and with like open arms. But something that helps me be like, yes, I do want to do this is probably the director and just the vision, I am really interested in work that just does something different and is not afraid to do things outside of the box. And I'm interested in directors and in creative teams that are open to learning from the actors as well, and really see productions as a collaborative thing. So yeah.
Yeah. So you pick the project, you're excited about it, right? The
Yeah.
script's in front of you, the pages are in front of you. What do you do next? What's your first step in internalizing the character or externalizing the character?
Yeah.
What is your kind of process in that sense of how you find, anything in it at the beginning?
You read it multiple times. You read it again and again and again and again. The last play I did was Stop Kiss by Diana Sun. It's a play that is out of order in the way that things happen. With that play, I definitely had to go back and reread to understand what the order of events were, but then to also understand like where my character was during like any given scene and what I wanted, and just be as specific as possible. So your script is the Bible. Like you go back to that, you refer to that, and then you learn the lines, and you try and get to the point where you're like doing the dishes and you can say it, or you're like walking the street and you can just be practicing those words. But I don't know, I think it does differ from project to project. Every character is going to require something different. Some characters are heavier, some are lighter, and you don't have to do so much of that, like that deep emotional work. A lot of the times it can also come to you on the set, in the process, but it just depends. But you want to make sure that you have a strong foundation by understanding that story, understanding your character, what they want, and just knowing those lines and being ready to play off your partner in the scene or play off the people that are directing you.
Definitely. Yeah. It's interesting too, because I feel like, the film perspective, it varies so much in the same way that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Actors handle things very differently, so always hearing that side of it is very interesting. And one thing I'm curious about is, when you go into a production, right?
Yeah.
Like when rehearsals start and you're actually in the space that for most cases at least, will be performing in. Does it change you a lot? Do you find that kind of does shift your perspective on things once you're in the actual atmosphere that you will be when you're performing?
100%. It becomes more real. Like the pressure of it becomes a bit more like heightened, but that's only because you care and you want to do a good job. Like it's professional theater, it's professional work, and you want to show up as a professional and you want to like give your best. But yeah.
There's a validation to being in the space.
Yes. I mean, you get on the stage and all of the elements, once they start like stacking on top of each other, really take you there.
Yeah.
For me, my favorite element of any production is costuming. I worked in a costume shop like for 2-3 years when I was in college.
Cool.
And I just love clothes and dressing, and it informs so much about your character when you're wearing something specific or something that feels good, and it just really takes you there. So everything, the set, like how big it is, and how many seats there are in the theater, all those kinds of things, they really,
I think that's something I'm also curious about is, you talk about how costume informs a performance and how atmosphere informs a performance.
Yeah.
How much does an audience inform a performance?
So much. Theater is nothing without the audience. Like that's the main relationship. Always. It it affects you so much. You try not to let it affect you so much because when you also are an actor and you go to shows and you're in the audience, you know that nothing that you're giving them is necessarily a reflection of like what is happening on stage. But when you are on stage and you're taking in the audience, you can definitely pick up on some of those nuances and energy. But it's a give and take, the audience and the actor's relationship. So yeah, if they're enjoying something, if they're not, or if they're laughing, or they're silent, all those things sort of inform how you continue to move through the play or the show or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's something that I feel like a lot of people take for granted, right? You show up to a play and you almost approach it the same way, like when you show up to a movie, you're just watching something.
Yeah. It's like you don't have to be. There's no fear in interacting. Also, audiences differ by demographic, right? Some people, like the older crowds, matinees, they tend to be quieter and they just observe. Doesn't mean that they're not enjoying it, but it definitely gives you a different energy up on stage. Sometimes it feels like you have to fight just a little bit harder to get something from them, but as an actor, you want the audience to engage with you a bit. You know, it's a live thing that's happening in the moment. You want to feel something from them as well.
And do you find that crowd size affects that, like in a proportional way? Like, do you feel larger crowds tend to give you more, or is that less of a a direct attachment?
They can. I mean, the last show I did was sort of like in a black box space. It was a a thrust, so that's 3 sides.
Okay.
And it was more intimate, and you're up on stage and you can see people's faces, like they're really just like right there, and it does affect you and how you're doing the show. You feel sort of more exposed when it's a smaller audience. In bigger theaters or in bigger spaces, you have to make your performance bigger. You have to live bigger on stage so that you can reach the person all the way in the back of the house. But it definitely it affects you, of course.
Gotcha. Interesting. So we're talking about maybe the projects themselves now, just personal interest for me, honestly. When you look for a project, right, and you say you're reading a few scripts or whatever it may be, right, do you tend to gravitate towards certain genres or certain styles, formats of performances or anything like that?
I'm growing my theater knowledge every day, every week, every month. I have just recently started sort of period work. That's something I hadn't been familiar with like in college. I think off bat people see me more for contemporary work, but there's so many plays out there. There's so many genres. There's so many different types of stories and different ways to tell a story. So I'm interested in them all. I don't know if I have a favorite yet, but I'm continuing to learn more and more every time I do a production or see something.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about other kinds of art.
Yeah.
It's something that I always like to do, especially with people that make art, right?
Yeah.
So what pushes you, right, outside of theater,
Yeah.
outside of Chicago, like we've already talked about, whether it's music, painting, whatever it may be, what kind of art do you gravitate towards to kind of inspire you?
Oh my gosh, definitely dance. My senior year of college, I fell more in love with dance. I think it was probably my favorite class that year. It just felt so freeing and yeah, I don't know. I think leaving school and then having like all of my opportunities ahead of me and having all choices be mine, I was like, you know what, I don't have to like gun for theater all 100% of the time. Like I can also do this that feels good, and for me that thing was dance. I like to get in the studio with my friends and sort of like try my choreo on them and just continue to work my creative brain, and I think that's something that's really helpful as an artist. Like like dipping your toe into different mediums are not the one that is like your main.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's, that's like, that's the best version of any answer, right?
Yeah.
It's like, pulling from other art forms to inform your own.
Yeah.
What ways do you feel that like dance pushes you as an actor? I'm interested to hear about that too, because I can imagine those two kind of playing almost symbiotically with each other in some ways, and I'm interested about your experience with that.
Yeah, I mean, dance, there's such a big storytelling aspect to dance as well. So I think, I don't know. Dance is about like letting go at the end of the day. Like it is structured, but when you're doing a performance, you don't want to necessarily stick to the guidelines so much. Then it becomes like rigid. So yeah, there's just a freedom in doing it and expressing and being big and putting everything out there and giving it to somebody else. And I think that definitely translates to my work in theater. Like, you do all of the rehearsals, you do all the practices, but when it's time to give the performance and show it, you just have to let it go and really live it and enjoy it, more than anything.
Oh, that's interesting. I love the idea of letting go too.
Yeah.
Like you said that, and it makes me think about the consumption of art, but not necessarily from a normal person's side, but from the artist's side, right? Like one thing I always think about is when a piece of art is finished and it is released, however it may be, whatever the medium is, I always think letting go is such a huge part of like the artist's formula of letting people kind of embrace it. Do you feel that in theater? Like I think that's something that I guess I've never really considered, is when you're standing on the stage, whether it be 5 nights in a row or every other night, whatever it may be, like do you feel like there's an element of letting it go, like giving it to the audience and almost letting them own it in a certain way?
Yeah, 100%, because every performance is going to be unique and it's not going to be the same. The show that you do night 3 is not going to be the same show that you do on like the 45th night or something, if your run is going for that long. But every time you do it, it's going to be different, it's going to be unique, and you have to let it go. Like there's going to be mistakes, you're going to forget things, like it's not going to be perfect, but it's still going to be exactly what it should have been. And at the end of the day, you still do your job, and you accomplish sharing something with an audience and making them feel something or learn something new. So
Gotcha.
You have to let it go.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, we talked about dance a little bit. What about music? Music, I can't imagine, is absent from your life in any capacity, right? What kind of music do you tend to gravitate towards, whether it be for dance or just in general for kind of that artistic inspiration of things?
It waxes and wanes with the season. But I think mostly I listen to R&B.
Okay.
And soul, jazz, funk, maybe. I've been getting to more house lately. I think that's really fun to choreograph to. Those sort of like higher energy beats and tracks are really, really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Well, I always do this. Little bit of like a rapid fire.
Okay.
Question. So first thing that comes to the mind.
Okay.
Right? Favorite show you've been in up until now?
Oh, Spunk.
Spunk. Okay. Perfect. Could be the same answer. Favorite character you've played up until now?
Ooh. Sweetback in Spunk.
Okay, gotcha. It's a highlight. I love it.
Yeah, really.
Perfect. And then if you could change like one thing, whether it be about a performance, whether it be about a decision in your kind of artistic path, what would it be?
That's a good question. Could change one thing. I don't even know if I would, honestly. I took a gap year in college after my freshman year, and then that was like the COVID era, and then I came back after that. I think that happened at the right time, and I needed that break away from what I thought theater was, and then like getting to college and understanding that it was something different. So I think that break did a lot for me, and I don't know if I would change that or really any other part of what's led me here.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I mean, taking a step back, that's great. I think a lot of the artists that I know that make the best work that I've ever seen are ones that do that often, frequently. Not because they want to, but because, like you had said, you kind of need that.
Yeah.
Right? You need that separation from it to then return to it and say, okay, I have a new perspective on it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So 2 more. What,
Yeah.
looking to the future more so, what show would be kind of like the mountaintop?
Oh my gosh. Hadestown.
Okay.
100%.
Awesome.
And I'm largely a play person.
Okay.
Like doing musicals is like a little scary because I'll do like ensemble work. Like I love to dance and like, you know, feel the energy with everyone. But definitely Hadestown. I love the music. I love that it's different from like standard musical theater canon. Like it's folksy and just more like, I don't know, like rugged and just a bit more loose, I think. So I really enjoy it. Like the music is awesome. I love the entire concept, the look of the show. Like it's just really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, character from there, is that your dream character? Or
Oh,
that's kind of
yeah, Eurydice.
Okay, gotcha. Makes sense.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's great. Well, hopefully down, soon.
I know.
I feel like I see, people put that production on fairly often.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I want to talk about, we talked about what you want to do and stuff, but you've got some stuff coming up for sure, right? We had spoken very briefly, you're doing something this month, which I definitely want to hear, a little rundown about that. It's coming up, so people should definitely check it out.
Yes.
If you want to talk about that for a few minutes, that'd
Totally.
be great. Yeah.
I'm going to be singing in a winter gala concert for Oak Park Festival Theater. It's going to be on Valentine's Day, so the 14th. It is, I think, like sort of a narrative thing. It's a bunch of folksy music, and I think we're going to be like infusing some Shakespeare, some tech stuff between the music as well. So it'll be really nice and exciting.
That's awesome. So when you do something like that, like out in the suburbs, like, Oak Park is a town that's very near and dear to my heart. One thing that, when we were speaking about that earlier, that came to mind is, and then we talked about audiences a little bit, like, do you shift a performance based on where something is? Because I can't imagine that the audiences are identical in Oak Park to Lincoln Park. Like, what are the like, right? Like, there has to be some line. And how do you kind of internalize that as a performer? Or do you really?
Yeah. You do a bit. You do a bit. Because your end goal is you just want people to enjoy themselves. So you cater a little bit. You don't. It's a thin line because you don't want to do things for an audience per se.
Right.
But it just depends on the show and what the performance or production is, and you get a lot of information about how you should present or how you should bring to life a piece by who you're collaborating with.
All right, and then coming up, I know that we've got some stuff that you can't fully disclose yet. But what are you excited about after that? So say March swings around, what are you looking forward to in 2026?
I'm looking forward to this contract that's happening. I'm so excited. It's I feel really lucky to be working for this theater company, and I think I'm going to grow like leaps and bounds. I'm looking forward to just getting in the reps. It's repertory theater, so that means that there's a core company of actors, and you're rehearsing during the day and then putting on a rotating schedule of shows like at night or like during the week. So it's gonna, like when I got the contract, the lady told me it's gonna feel like grad school. So I'm like, okay, let's like bring it on. Let's do that. It's an opportunity to sharpen myself, my process, and just grow so much artistically. So I'm really looking forward to that. Just playing and having that much time dedicated to theater and work as an artist.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A student of the game.
Yes.
Do you feel like that every time you take on a show? Like you almost have like like you are that student?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time I do something new, I'm like, I'm a beginner.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying. I'm like starting from the absolute basics every single time.
Gotcha. That's amazing. Well, I think we're pushing up against time a little bit here, unfortunately. It was so great to have you today. I appreciate it. I want to give you any time that you need to push, Instagram, socials, whatever it might be. People should find you. You deserve it. And also, you got stuff coming up, right? Like we want to push people to see that. So take the time now. Let people know where they can find you, what they can do to come see you perform, and
Totally. Well, you can follow me on my Instagram. It's _AXKAYLA. Kuwonu, and all of the professional performance opportunities that I have, I usually repost on there. So if you follow me, you'll be able to see all the stuff I have coming up.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being with us today, Amma. And we will we'll stay in touch. I'm excited for all these people to get to see you soon. And good luck with everything.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yay!